Hello and welcome to the bike show. At long last, we're back. We've been away for 3 months, but the good news is that 3 months has allowed us to film a load of interesting stuff, which will be coming up shortly. 2 other interesting pieces of news. The first one is Bavaria Motorcycles. They're letting us run our studio out of their premises, which is very kind of them. And the second most important bit of news is we have a new presenter, Donovan Faree, editor of Off-Road and Adventure magazine.
Which is convenient because our first feature is an adventure bike, the Triumph 800 XC. And for 2015, they've given it an extra X.
It's a small X, and as the resident adventure rider, I've been tasked to find out if it actually has made any difference. We motorcyclists like a bike that looks like it means business. A superbike has to be outrageous and extravagant. A touring bike has to be huge and comfortable. And an adventure bike has to look mean and hard, like it could take on the world and win. As I believe I might have mentioned before once or twice, Triumph have never been afraid of looking at what the other manufacturers are making and selling and thought to themselves, well, I'll have a bit of that. Now, with the first Tigers, Triumph paid lip service to the adventure bike, but then in 2010, they had a proper go with the first 800 XC. It was good, but not quite good enough. Now, however, they've had another go. This is the Tiger 800 XCX, and it would be fair to say it's pretty new from top to tail. Outwardly, all that might seem to be different is that small X in the name. But get under the skin, and it's clear Triumph have taken the opposition seriously and upped their game. Chief among the developments is the ride-by-wire throttle. Not only does this allow a more delicate throttle control, essential with a peaky engine such as this sports bike-derived unit, but it has allowed Triumph to delve into the electronics goodie bag. Cruise control is standard, and the traction control and ABS have several settings, including completely off for both. Not only that, but there are 3 engine mapping setup options: road, off-road, and a rider customizable option, giving many permutations of engine mapping, ABS, and traction control. The engine has been heavily reworked. Triumph engineers concentrating on efficiency, cooling, refinement, better fuel economy and range, and smoother gear changes. The styling has been subjected to evolutionary as opposed to revolutionary changes, but it remains a very good-looking bike in a typical for the class angular way. The XCX gets spoke wheels, 21-inch at the front and 19-inch at the rear, and very, very high-quality, manually adjustable WP suspension front and back. Overall quality, both of the components used and the fit and finish, is fantastic. Nothing feels plasticky or flimsy, and the paintwork is deep and lustrous. If anything, the Tiger 800 XCX is so smart that it would be easy to resist the temptation to give it a good thrashing off-road. With so many really competent rivals in the adventure segment, the Tiger 800 XCX could not afford to be rubbish off-road. Luckily for Triumph and you, it's not. There are 2 types of off-road rider: the occasional amateur, that'll be me, and the properly skilled rider who will test every facet of a bike's ability. The beauty of this new Tiger is that no matter what level of skill, it delivers. It will look after you or it will challenge you. There's no doubt that this bike is a huge improvement over the old 800XC. The switchable ABS and traction control and the uprated suspension have turned this ugly duckling into a swan capable of taking on its German and Japanese rivals without shame. And that's no mean feat.
There is a school of thought that says an off-road engine has to be dull and characterless, and that is true. But it seems like somebody forgot to tell Triumph. This engine is insane! It wails and howls like a sports bike engine, and yet it can still plug through the rough stuff. I've always been a fan of the Triumph triple engine. I think it's one of the 5 greatest engines of all time. And now it's just got even better.
Make no mistake, the Tiger 800 might appear to be too pretty to cut it on the rough stuff, but don't let the looks deceive you. This bike will give you the thrills of your life off-road, and then when the day is done, give you a great ride home on tar. It's the best of both worlds.
This Triumph is very, very good. It's beautiful, it's beautifully built, it's got all the toys you could need, great off-road ability, stunning on-road, and that engine. But hang on, I hear you saying to yourselves, I'm never actually going to go off-road riding, I'm never going to go adventure riding, so why do I need all that off-road ability? If only they made a street version. Now that would be very cool.
Well, luckily for Harry, there is in fact an XR version, and as the name implies, that is for the road. So what do you do to make it a road bike? You take some travel out of the suspension, so the whole bike sits a bit lower. You don't need an adventure beak either, because, well, that's for adventure bikes. What you get is a colour-coded mudguard. There's a few changes. You still get the same engine at the heart of it, and you get to save yourself 10,000 rand. 128 isn't too bad for this class of bike, but there are alternatives.
This is the obvious alternative, the F800 GS. Now it has all the equipment that the Triumph has, but it has one less cylinder. Therefore it makes slightly less horsepower, but it also weighs a good deal less. And let's be honest, when the going gets rough, I think you want to be on one of these.
Price-wise, what are we looking at?
137,000 rand and some change.
Some change. Well, some change is better than nothing. There is another not-so-obvious alternative, and it's not so obvious because it's 1050cc. This is the new KTM 1050. It's about the same price, it produces about the same power as the Triumph and the BMW. It's not in the country yet, we're not quite sure when it's coming in, but it's a KTM, it's going to be good off-road, and it's going to be good on-road. So after the break, we'll be talking to Mr. Mike Scott, who is the doyen of MotoGP journalists.